see the world and sail the seven seas. Wanna be free, unveil some mystery. Ancient times have passed me by, the rules remain. Hold my eyes under the open sky, the life guide me.
Good morning. So, after being in Colombia for 4.5 months, I'm now back on Vancouver Island, and it's a beautiful sunny day, a little bit chilly perhaps, but blue sky and beautiful weather. And so the first question I have for you is, do you recognize where I'm at right now? Have a good look. No, it's not my house. I wish, but anyhow, if you don't know where this is Hatley Castle, and this is the site of the first couple of X-Men movies, some scenes from the X-Men movies. Deadpool did some filming here inside of the castle, and it also happens to be where I work from spring through fall, which is how I earn most of my money for going away and traveling. So anyway, what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to give you a few updates about the direction my channel is going to be heading, aside from travel. Now that I'm back on Vancouver Island, my plans are to show you some of the beautiful spots on the island, take you to some secret waterfalls that only I know about, and also the big news is that I'm going to be talking a lot more about health and well-being, because when it comes right down to it, my opinion is that there's nothing more important than our health. So I've actually been studying health and well-being for quite a long time, and so if I have an area of expertise, that would actually be it. So I won't get into that in depth right now, but what I'm going to do today, I'm going to wander around the gardens area and the park area of Hatley Castle, which is also a Royal Roads University. Show you around a little bit while I give you some more updates. Alright, so let me take you for a little tour. Right at the moment I'm heading down the path towards the Japanese gardens area, which I have to say is actually a lot better during fall because of the Japanese maples and the fall colors, but still beautiful at any time of year. And this would be the largest Japanese maple on the grounds that people like to take photos of during the fall. So where I'm at right now on the grounds, this is actually called the Kamadons House, and over that way a little bit more is the Vice Commandant's House, which we go into fairly often to do various things. But anyhow, what I was mentioning earlier about what I have in store for you this year. Perhaps it would be a good idea if I told you a little bit about my story. Back in 1991, I took an extensive hypnotherapy course that lasted 10 months. It was every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all day on Saturday and Sunday. So it was a lot of hours. It was very intensive, and it was the first time I'd actually done something like that. You know, just wander around while I'm yakking away here. But I was absolutely fascinated by what I learned and the potential of the mind. And so I really became interested in learning everything that I could about mind, body, and I'll add the word spirit, mind, body, spirit healing methods. And to be quite honest with you, I've been on a quest to learn everything I could ever since then. So we're talking about 1991, it's 2019 now. I took different courses over the years, Jin Shin Do, acupressure, acupressure, foot reflexology. And so not only did I take the course in 1991, I'm just going to show you there's a growing, it's a big greenhouse, I guess you'd call it, where they grow all kinds of weird and wonderful things, vegetables and things. And there's fruit trees all over the grounds as well. So anyway, going back to what I was just talking about. In 1991, not only did I start learning about health and healing, but I also had this great desire to learn the truth on three main topics. And those three main topics were the aforementioned mind-body healing. I really wanted to know what was the optimal way to be healthy and to live as long as possible, as healthy as possible. And I also want to know a bunch of spiritual answers. For instance, big ones like, is there a God? And if so, what is he, she, or it? And so all at the same time I started learning about healing and got into all these spiritual books. And I'll just show you quickly, that's the Vice Kamadons House. And I won't bother going through there. But I became, I guess the simple word for it would be a truth seeker. I just wanted to know the absolute truth about healing, spirituality, what happens after we die. Are things like karma valid? I just started asking a zillion questions, reading a whole bunch of different books, a wide range of books. And the other thing I wanted to learn about was, why is our world in such an absolute mess? Now, having said that, there's some absolutely wonderful things about this world. It's an absolutely beautiful and amazing planet, but I'm talking about the people. Why does it seem like, going back to the question about does God exist? Why does God seem to, if there is a God in the sky, why does that God make seemingly really nice, wonderful people suffer so much, while greedy, selfish, arrogant people end up becoming multi-millionaires, if not these days billionaires? And so I want to know all of these things. Why is our world so disproportionate when it comes to money, and why is there so much suffering? Basic questions. And so I started digging into all that, which of course led me into conspiracy theories. Now, I'm not a big fan of the word conspiracy theories. I'm just a truth seeker. And one thing that I have to mention is that in seeking this truth, I wasn't seeking to learn what I wanted to hear. I just wanted to know the truth, whether I liked it or not. And over the course between 1991 and 1993, I just soaked up a lot of information, and there's a lot of it that I didn't really want to hear. I didn't like the answers that I found. And so my life was basically changed forever at that point in many, many different ways. And I took on totally different perspectives about life because of what I was learning spiritually. But I won't get deeply into that for now. What I will mention is that all these years later, I wrote the story of this truth-seeking mission of mine. And quite frankly, I admit that there was times where I was confused on every topic, because spiritual people, gurus and so-called avatars and sages and new age were saying at times quite contradictory things. And so how do you know what to believe if they all sound plausible? So I went through a lot of confusion at one point. Same with conspiracy theories. You hear all different kinds of theories that contradict each other, and you know, it can get frustrating and confusing, and when you hear some of the things that I learned, it's hard to even stay optimistic about life because it sounded so doomy and gloomy at times. And even food, of course. I'm sure you've noticed that one food is like a superfood one year, and next year they're saying, oh no, it actually causes cancer. And I've literally, and I mean literally, have heard that from one so-called nutrition expert or another, that every single food, I'm not kidding, every single food, when we're talking about fruits, vegetables, meat, berries, legumes, whatever, that every one of them, somebody at some point has said that they are not good for you. And so a lot of people just say, well, I don't know what to believe anymore, so they just eat whatever they want. And anyway, the last thing I want to mention actually is that all these years later, I started writing a book about all my thoughts and philosophies and just my story about what I went through in this great seeking of truth. And the book just grew and grew, and at this point
I'm sure that you're fascinated and spellbound by every word that's coming out of my mouth, but here's a brief interlude of some of my photos of the castle and the grounds.
There's now 4 volumes of well over 1,000 pages, and those books are called Getting Real in the Unreal World, the story of a rude awakening and inspiration. And I'm just going to briefly, let's see, where shall we go here? Let's go back through the door here, take you somewhere different. Old-fashioned door where you actually lift this up instead of turning the doorknob. Anyhow, this area here in a couple more months will be the rose garden area, all beautiful roses. For now it's not looking that impressive, but it'll be pretty beautiful in a little while. So anyway, these books, I have one out, volume 1 is out, my volume about specifically for health is out, and over the coming year, while I think of it, I'll probably interview a few guests. I already have talked with one person from the UK, who's a very interesting fellow. I'll mention his name when the time is appropriate, but he's agreed to be my first guest. So while I was in Colombia, I was working on volume 2, and I got to within about 60 pages of editing. They're already written. All the volumes were written. I'm just editing now. And volume 2 should be ready hopefully in a couple more weeks. But volume 1's available as an ebook on Amazon.com. And Getting Real in the Unreal World, the Wheel of Healt, is also available on Amazon. And I'll be quite upfront and honest with you. I watch a lot of different people's YouTube channels about health, and I think that my book is more comprehensive and well-rounded than pretty much anybody else's books or YouTube channel health experts that I know of, because there's a lot more to health than just food and nutrition and exercise, which is all a lot of these YouTubers seem to talk about. There's obviously some exceptions, but for the most part they just talk about food and food as being the be-all and end-all of health, and that's simply not the case, especially in this day and age of electronics and blue light and harmful EMF energy, etc., etc. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be talking about over the coming year. My plan is to go on excursions out into nature, find a nice quiet spot, and talk to you guys about these things. So if you are interested in health, which I hope you are, I hope you will subscribe to my channel, because I think you're going to learn a lot more than you will via most people's YouTube channels. Just my opinion, but that's what I think. So this is the main pond on the grounds, again called Railroads University. And it is spring of 2019, so the spring blossoms are out. A lot of the spring blossoms have already come and gone, but there's still a few different trees that are looking quite beautiful. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but the that sound is peacocks. There's probably a good dozen peacocks that roam around the campus all year round. So the last thing I want to mention about my channel changes for this year is that, ran through a little spider web, I'm not planning on being one of those nasty YouTubers who's gonna call people names. I can only hope that you can maybe appreciate that I'm gonna be really authentic. I'm not gonna try to put on an act. I'm not gonna be one of the, hey everybody, how's it going today? I'm not gonna do that. It's the last time I ever do that. I'm just going to keep it real. I am going to be honest though, but hopefully honest but tactful. I am going to call a few people out and say what I think of what I believe to be very manipulative and controlling tactics that they're using to try to sway people to believe what they want everyone to believe. And yeah, I'm just gonna be honest, but try to be nice. And obviously we've got this big war going on between vegans and keto and carnivore people, and I'm all for people making their own choices about their own health. I'm not gonna knock people for being vegan or vegetarian or a fruitarian or a breatharian or whatever else. I have been vegan in the past and don't feel that it worked very well for me for various reasons. But if you feel that vegan is the way that you want to go, that's totally fine with me. What I actually hope to do is to I hesitate to use this word, but I'll use it anyway. I'm hoping to attract people who are respectful of other people's beliefs. So maybe we can slowly but surely build a little community of respectful people, tactful people, who can be vegan or carnivore and still be nice to each other. Because one of the things I will be talking about is that, you know, I think we already have enough division and hatred in this world as it is, and we don't need more. I think if we be respectful of each other's beliefs, we don't have to agree with each other, but we can be respectful that vegans and carnivores, believe it or not, can get along just fine. And I'm not going to try to guilt people into doing what I think is right, my version of right, based on my perspectives. You know, we all grow at our own pace. Call it spiritual growth or just personal growth, whatever you like. And so some people are gonna be very, what's the word, stubborn about their current beliefs, but people do change and people learn new things, hopefully. And that's one of the biggest messages I'll be putting forth as well, is always keep an open mind. Don't think that you have it all figured out and that you know it all, because that's what I see the most common right now is in YouTubers, is especially the ones that get a little bit of notoriety. They act like they've got everything figured out. They act like they think they're the one and only authority on food and nutrition and how we should all act and behave on this planet. And that's fine, they can have their beliefs, but when you try to make other people feel guilty for not doing what you think is the one and only way to live, that gets into manipulation and controlling tactics, and I'm going to have a lot to say about that pretty soon. So anyway, there's some noisy people in the background, so I'm going to switch off for now and see if I can think of anything else to think of to say. So they actually have this really cleverly built aqueduct system here, and this runs down into I guess this pond here is even bigger than the other one, and a lot of different birds are attracted to come to this area. I commonly see deer on the campus, so it's just a beautiful place. Definitely not a bad place to work, even though everybody working here is crazy except me. But it's almost like the next best thing to the Butchart Gardens. It's beautiful here. Here's another angle on the upper pond with a little, I don't know what you call it, veranda on the water. So where I'm standing right now is called the croquet lawn, where they literally used to play croquet. That's the Dunsmuir family that built this castle, well, had it built, I should say. And this is the area where a lot of people get married. In another couple weeks, a whole bunch of weddings will be scheduled from spring all the way through fall. And people get married here on this lawn, and one of my jobs is to do the setup for that, and that's on weekends. And one of these days, just maybe, I'll take you for an exclusive tour inside the castle and to some other areas that other people that don't work here wouldn't normally get access to. But yeah, there's weddings, sometimes 2 a day on Saturdays and Sundays through spring into the fall months, and it's not cheap. I won't say how much it is, but in case you didn't know, you can get married at the castle, and in fact, if it's raining, you can get married inside the castle and have the reception inside the castle, which is. And this area here is called the Italian Gardens, and occasionally they have some of the smaller weddings that are set up right in this grassy area here, but usually they're down in the croquet lawn. But this area, they're going to be planting more and more flowers as the summer months approach, and it'll just become even more beautiful, especially the croquet lawn. It's pretty bare right now, but they'll be planting lots more flowers down there. Another angle of the castle from the front. And if you happen to be visiting Victoria and you come to Royal Roads University grounds, so that you know, they do have guided tours of the grounds and the castle. You're not actually supposed to go into the castle without being on the guided tour, although there are people constantly sneaking in, but and we're constantly kicking people out, but anyway, part of the game. There's even a nice little waterfall on the grounds. Originally, I was going to go and do photography for the entire weekend, but once I saw the cloudless skies, as you can see, it's harsh sunlight, so that's not good for photography. So after I'm done here, I'm heading to Beacon Hill Park, and I'm going to work on volume 2 of Getting Real in the Unreal World. So hopefully I'll finish that off soon.
If you enjoyed watching this video about the Hatley Castle Gardens, or if you think you'd enjoy watching videos about health and well-being, or doing some spots on Vancouver Island that you won't see on many other channels, I hope you'll take the time to click like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time.
No